This is the Daily Wrestling News for February 10th, 2021. My name is Ryan Joy, and I am coming to you live from Minutes to Bell Time Studios on the beautiful Treasure Coast of the Sunshine State. John DeConnie, we are powered by the Eastern Observer. Welcome to the show today.
Indeed we are, sir. Good morning. How are you?
Cheers. We have a lot of stuff to talk about. I mean, Impact last night was no slouch. NXT tonight is no slouch, and it's the go-home show for Vengeance Day that'll occur on Valentine's Day. We've got news, we've got trivia. We have a lot to do today.
Yeah, big week.
All right, without further ado, I'm going to ring the bell, and we're going to get started with the ridiculously random, non-wrestling audience needs to know you better question of the day. And that question is brought to you by Pro Wrestling Pick'em. It's a place where you can join or host a Pick'em League to test your predictive skills in the world of pro wrestling. Create an account and join a league now at ProWrestlingPick'em.com so you can play against your friends or play against the universe. And John, we have pretty much locked in our picks for No Surrender and NXT TakeOver. Last night when we did the Essential Wrestling podcast, Al did a pretty good job of predicting the matches that would be announced for No Surrender. So I think we pretty much picked everything.
Yeah, I think we got it all covered because you could kind of sort of see those things coming, and Al's mind tends to work. He's probably already booked Bound for Glory for them, so he tends to be ahead of the curve.
Yeah, that Black Taurus might throw a wrench in things. But on to your question, what was the last thing you watched on a DVD? And John, let's make this R-rated tops.
Yes, well, I think you and I might have this in common. Last week, I was able to dig out and find my WrestleMania 20 DVD set.
All right, that is the last thing.
That's the last thing I popped in the old PlayStation 4 to fire up because I don't even have a disk drive in my laptop anymore.
I happen to have a DVD player that was given. Well, it's a Blu-ray, whatever. I guess language doesn't matter here, but I have one that was given to me for my office, so I was able to just turn my head and watch the show. So WrestleMania 20, yep, me too. And stay tuned, folks, for an announcement on WrestleMania 20. It's hard to announce something about WrestleMania 20 here almost 20 years later, but we'll do. And Al has chimed in. Breaking news. Rich Swann versus Johnny Swinger is his official prediction for Bound for Glory.
Book it.
I hope so. I hope that happens. My mother chiming in with Hunger Games as her last DVD. She got that for Christmas from a very good son. All right, let's roll into NXT for tonight. It is the go-home show for Vengeance Day. There's a bunch of things lined up, but sort of breaking news this morning. I'm actually not sure when he put out the tweet, but Austin Theory says that Johnny Gargano is not cleared for TakeOver due to the attack from Kushida, and Theory is going to be taking it out on Kushida this evening on NXT. So I think that's as close to a match announcement that we're going to get. I don't know if it will be, but John, it sounds like Johnny TakeOver might be out of the picture here.
Yeah, that's a rumor because I was looking forward to that match. I mean, him and Kushida, just the possibilities there. Whew, that could be a heck of a match. But if it winds up being, maybe tonight, Austin Theory jumps Kushida somewhere backstage, and then maybe that match gets that spot on Vengeance Day. And, from what little we know about Theory, we know he's, a blue chipper, as JR used to put it. We've seen him be pretty spectacular at times already. So him and Kushida could be every bit as entertaining as Johnny and Kushida. It just won't be for a strap.
Yeah, I don't think we've seen the best of Austin Theory, which I think is what you're getting at. I think that he has a ton of potential and probably actually hasn't hit his stride in the WWE system yet. The other thing on this is that he could be just messing with us, and that's that might be the way this goes. So we'll have to see. But in any case, I guess a little teaser for tonight's episode of NXT that you might not have heard of yet is that apparently Austin Theory is going to be looking for Kushida, and Johnny Wrestling might be out of TakeOver. And then the other side of this thing is Dexter Lumis is always going to be lurking around. So who knows what we have there. So
very true.
The other fun thing tonight is Cameron Grimes is returning. I'm not sure. They didn't announce that he was going to be in action. But if he is, I like to think he's just going to be squashing somebody. So
yes, very likely.
Yeah. And then we have the Dusty Cup, not the finals, but we're going to get the finals set. The finals will take place this weekend at Vengeance Day. John, I'm going to throw up these brackets that I've put together, and I know we've talked about this a bunch of times, but here you have the brackets. We are down to 4 teams. Are you still sticking with GYV as the pick here?
I am. It very much worries me because I think Ciampa and Thatcher are very, very solid, and it could be one of those things where, once they needed to fill that spot, they decided to throw them together. And as we discussed last night on EWP, they kind of have a penchant for taking thrown together teams when they're this talented and pushing them all the way through. So I wouldn't be surprised to be wrong, but GYV were my pick in the beginning, and prove me wrong. I won't be upset because I know it'll be a good match. So,
yeah, I am picking Thatcher and Ciampa now. I think that I could be wrong within 12 hours, right? So, but I think that this really feels like keep these guys together, move them into a tag team program, and then maybe way down the road we have another split and more feuding there. But I think that's kind of where it's heading. But I don't know. It could go the other way. It could just as easily be eliminated tonight. So now Gary Mahaffey chiming in the comments, and he is not a fan of Cameron Grimes. So I don't believe he's saying that he will be facing Ginny, but I think he's just preferring that he doesn't come back. So now
if
on
he
the
puts,
go ahead.
If he just putting Cameron Grimes in the same sentence as Ginny tells me exactly how he feels.
Yes, exactly. Now on the women's side of the Dusty Cup, we are down to 3 teams. We know that Dakota Kai and Raquel Gonzalez will be at TakeOver competing in the finals. We've got Candice LeRae and Indie Wrestling versus Shotzi Blackheart, Ember Moon. I think everybody was pretty much in the Shotzi Ember camp, but I think you flip-flopped with me last night, and we picked Raquel and Dakota now. Is that right?
Yeah, I've had Raquel and Dakota the whole way,
Okay.
but I definitely have Shotzi and Ember moving on to meet them there. As much as I do support indie wrestling, I just don't think they get the job done tonight. So I expect to see Shotzi and Ember in the final.
Yeah, I had Casey and Kaden all the way through on this thing, and when they got beat, I had to pick somebody else, and I think I'm going to stick with the team that took them out. So that's where I stand. So of course tonight you have Ember Moon and Shotzi Blackheart versus Indie Wrestling and Candice LeRae, Legado del Fantasma versus MSK, Grizzled Young Veterans versus Ciampa and Thatcher, and the return of Cameron Grimes, and this little teaser with Austin Theory and Johnny Gargano and Kushida. So that's where we stand for NXT tonight. Now, we talked about Dynamite yesterday in detail on the show with Travis, but they did make an announcement that we are going to hear from Hangman Page tonight. So that is an addition to the lineup. Who knows what it's going to be? Maybe it's maybe he's going to be trying to pick between the Dark Order and Matt Hardy, but the anxious millennial cowboy will be speaking on Dynamite tonight. Any thoughts, John? Do you think he's going to make any huge announcements?
He never seems to want to make any huge announcements himself. He usually doesn't speak unless somebody else, kind of forces him to. So I would be very interested to see what he's got to say that, they've already chiseled out some time specifically for him. I just want to see him wrestle. I don't need to hear him talk.
Yeah, yeah. He is good when he gets like amped, but
Oh,
we
yeah.
haven't had a situation like that. Probably, we really haven't had a situation like that. Maybe he had a promo around Full Gear, but it's not memorable. The last real memorable promos he did, in my mind, are against Chris Jericho, and that was way back at the beginning before the inaugural AEW World Championship. So.
Absolutely. Yeah. Not to say that he's not good on the mic. He just doesn't need it. Fans are already behind him. Everybody wants to see him do some cowboy bleep.
Yeah. Most of the time, the things that, he does have promo segments, but it's kind of like he kind of has like situational humor. It's not like a delivered speech. He's there with his cup and he just like looks at somebody funny and walks away or whatever. So that kind of thing. But back onto the NXT side of the things, because I do want to close that out with just running down the Vengeance Day card. We have Io Shirai versus Toni Storm versus Mercedes Martinez for the NXT Championship. Finn Balor versus Pete Dunne for the NXT Championship. Johnny Gargano versus Kushida, maybe in jeopardy based on what we're hearing. And then you have the Cup Finals, which we've talked about. So, John, do you think that we're going to get a sixth match? Typically, these have been 6 at least during the pandemic era. And I'm really looking at that Karrion Kross and Santos Escobar situation and hoping for that to get signed.
Boy, that would be interesting to see them get to that. It almost feels like that's a little ways off, but I guess I wouldn't be surprised to see it get pushed, onto this card. And wow, look at that card if that winds up being that number 6 spot. Oh, baby.
The question is really who will steal the show, because this is going to be intense. This is going to be a good takeover, I think.
Absolutely.
It's sort of, this takeover has the potential to be one of the better in the last year or so. So it's their night to lose.
Yeah, and and that's not forgetting that there hasn't been a bad takeover. Since I've been really, really watching NXT, they do not disappoint.
And this is with no Adam Cole on the card or anything like that. So, okay, so Impact Wrestling from last night. Impact's a ball of fun. We've got a bunch of new matches for No Surrender. We've got some debuts. Cousin Jake changed his name. So let's start with that. Cousin Jake, he denies he does not want to join Violence by Design. And I guess he couldn't come up with a very good name, so he's now Jake something. So
sure.
Okay, so let's see what else we have. Kimberly defeats ODB. Nevaeh defeats Kiera Hogan. Taurus makes his debut. Taurus is Black Taurus now, so it's both a debut and a slight name change. And he got a quick win over Caleb with a K, 57 seconds.
Quick and powerful.
Yeah, he's going to be a new heater. He's going to be a heater for them, I think. And he joins Decay, so that's fun.
Absolutely.
Big 8-man tag where Trey got the submission victory. John, do you know what that submission was? Because that was something new from him.
What did they call it? They called it the hourglass submission. Yeah. It was like an upside down figure 4, and pull his arms. That whole match was too much to call. I usually like to break down the matches, a closing sequence or something like that, but there was too much going on there.
Yeah. And then, I've already mentioned some things that are leading into changes for No Surrender, but James Storm and Chris Sabin, they got a win over the Good Brothers as a DQ win when Private Party ran in. And now Scott D'Amore has added Sabin and Storm into the match on Saturday at No Surrender. So it'll be Good Brothers versus Private Party versus Sabin and Storm for the tag team championships. John, does that change your mind about who you think is going to win?
It definitely makes me less sure about my pick because it'd be very easy for any one of the other four to take the pin, and that saves the Good Brothers. But I'm sticking with the Good Brothers. It just feels like they're going to have a decently long run with those tag titles.
Yeah, yeah, I think so too. It doesn't change my opinion at all. More matches announced though. We had Triple XL versus Triple XL and Tennille Dashwood versus Rosemary Crazy Steve and Black Taurus. Kimberly, Susan, and Deanna Perrazzo versus Jordan Jazz and ODB. That was a match that we predicted would happen, so very good. Fire and Flava are going against Havoc and Nevaeh. Again, that was one we thought we would get. And Cody Deaner versus Jake something. So there you have it. Those are the new matches. Now, Tommy Dreamer and Rich Swann had a contract signing, and it did not go the way of a normal contract signing because Moose came out and he was a little aggressive, but D'Amore said, stand down, Moose. And he's like, I have nothing to prove here. And then Tommy Dreamer says, hey, Moose, stop talking. Focus on me here for a second. And then he just delivers a passionate promo and then says, let's shake hands and walk out of here united. And I'm like, but we have to break a table. What happened?
Wait, nobody got punched. This isn't a contract signing. I don't understand.
Right. I mean, at minimum, we could have at least had, somebody's hand stabbed with the pen or something, at least an attempt. I mean, so any chance Tommy Dreamer walks out of No Surrender with the Impact World Championship?
I picked Swann. I'm going to stick with Swann. But the more I think about it, the more I think this is the kind of thing that Impact just might do. Put the belt on Dreamer for a couple of weeks and then have Moose hound him and squash him eventually and take the title. I could absolutely see it happening.
A lot of things going on here, right? Like you also have the situation where you have Kenny Omega looming around, and maybe they want to do a belt collector thing, but they don't want Kenny Omega to beat one of the up and coming top talents or one of the people they consider at the top. So maybe they do a quick belt change so they can have a program where Rich Swann beats Kenny Omega to get the belt back, type of thing. All kinds of weird stuff that could happen. The doors are wide open. Plus, the same thing just changed Kenny Omega with Moose, right? So
yeah, absolutely. As Tony Khan, mentioned during their little commercial spot last night, this forbidden door, it opens up so many possibilities, and it's got to be bringing eyeballs to their programming because this is what's been missing from wrestling for a long time. Knowing that you could sit down and watch 2 hours of wrestling and be completely shocked at something that happens. It's Absolutely. Been a long time since that's been a regular thing.
Yep. Now we also have Rohit Raju versus TJP for the X Division Championship. We have the Triple Threat Revolver, and we have Brian Myers and Hernandez facing Matt Cardona and Eddie Edwards. That rounds out the rest of the No Surrender card. And I think we covered the main talking points of Impact last night, all the matches and whatnot. John, anything that we didn't talk about that we need to talk about from Impact last night?
No, I wouldn't think so. There was some funny moments and or a funny throwaway line in Swingers Paradise, but just the fact that this No Surrender card is a lot bigger than I would have expected for an Impact Plus special.
Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 matches. So that's a big card. And you know what? Those things take a long time. I mean, they're like 3.5, 4 hour shows. So that's gonna be a full night. Because there's not typically a pre-show. I don't recall. So
yeah, not usually.
Yeah. All right. Well, I do have some news items, and there's at least one gem in here. So let me play the news bumper and we'll get into it. Today's news is brought to you by the free Body Slam Brigade newsletter. Each week I compile the week's top wrestling stories. I put them all in a quick to read email. It's divided up by company. Almost 4,000 people are getting this thing. We are well over 3,900 at this point, and people are subscribing every day. You should be one of them. In addition to the top stories, the newsletter gets you all the information that we're doing. There's links to this show. There's links to the Essential Wrestling Podcast. Any shirts I'm selling or other things that we're doing, and all the fun stuff is all right there in the newsletter. You don't want to miss it. It comes out Friday at 11 o'clock. So do get that newsletter. Okay, so here we go into the news. I'm saving the good one till the end, but Rush and Dragon Lee signed new deals with Ring of Honor. So that's out there. Once again, Ring of Honor just re-signing all their talent, it seems like, in the last 3 months. And those are the champions at the moment. So Monday Night Raw and Straight Up Steve Austin this week both dropped in the ratings. They went both down about 100,000 viewers.
I would have thought Brett Favre alone would have given them a nice little pull.
It's weird. Last season of Straight Up Steve Austin did really well. I don't know if they had it in a different time slot or whatever, but this after Raw slot, you would think they'd have a really good, strong wrestling lead in for that. And it's frankly probably why I've caught it every week. But no, this was not. Was this the lowest? I think this might have been the lowest rated one. The Tiffany Haddish one actually went up, and then we went way back down for Brett Favre. But Brett's not a very charismatic guy. He's very subdued.
True,
but he did. It was kind of a fun show. I mean, Brett Favre he was eating with Steve Austin, and Brett Favre had like a fart making noise machine thing. So he's I guess a fun guy to be around.
Yeah. So. Couple of Southern boys chopping it up,
Yeah.
Seems like a good
So this morning we had New Japan, a couple of big shows this morning, and as documented on this show, Travis and I were at odds about who we thought would win these matches. And I want to say that I was correct. Guerrillas of Destiny did defeat Sabre and Taichi to retain their championships, and it was a disqualification, but they did win. And I was also correct that Hiromu Takahashi defeated Sho in about 35 minutes. It was the longest IWGP Junior Heavyweight Championship match in history. And then afterwards, El Phantasmo, he attacked Hiromu Takahashi. Bushi and Ishimori came out, tried to make saves. ELP challenged Hiromu for the Junior Championship, and then Hiromu challenged him back for the Tag Team Championship. So we've got a big mess. So we'll see where that all leads. But tomorrow morning we have the conclusion of the two big shows. So, but I think Travis and I are in concurrence about who's coming out in both of those. So I'm going to take the W, Travis. And since you're not on the show today, you can't say anything about it. And we know he's not watching because he hardly would comment right now.
Yes. Therefore, your word is final.
All right. So here's the fun one. Maybe you've seen it, maybe you haven't. But you recall the segment of Monday Night Raw this week where Nia Jax hurt herself, correct?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. Well, the founder of Tushy reached out to Nia. I saw what transpired last night during Raw. My condolences to your hole. That looked like it hurt. To help ease some of your pain, I'd like to send you a free Tushy Spa 3.0 bidet to install. I imagine things are a bit tender up there right now, with lots of sensitive nerve endings. Wiping with dry tissues may irritate and damage the area further. With a Tushy Spa 3.0, you can spray your bum with water. It'll help it feel cleaner, fresher, and healthier in no time. We can also send you a Tushy Travel, which is a portable bidet, perfect for people who poop when they're out and about to have on hand in case you need it, and for as long as your pain persists. Lastly, we'd love for you to be a Tushy brand ambassador and speak to the many features our bidet offers athletes. Let me know if you're interested in a free Tushy and Tushy Travel, and I'll send one to you ASAP. Feel free to check out our assortment of products at hellotushy.com. Cheers, Mike Agrawal, founder of Tushy. So there you have it. That is the juicy item I had for you in the news today.
Yes. Please let Nia Jax become the face of Tushy product.
Al says it's way too information. Al, it was merely a letter from one concerned person to an injured person. So, humanity is out there. People care for each other. So there you have it. I'm glad we can have fun here.
That's what it's all about. Well, otherwise, why are we doing this?
Exactly. All right. Well, that aside, are you ready for trivia?
As I'll ever be.
Elimination Chamber 2018. I'm just rolling back in order here. I might have to do something different since I announced it, but Elimination Chamber 2018. Let me play the bumper.
All right.
All right, here we go. You get 5 questions. A simple majority correct gets you the W. If you win, you get the Goldberg Oscar Award. If you lose, you get a Hawkins. And if you get them all correct, you give everybody else the perfect plex. Here's the score. You are trailing. You had a Hawkins last week. You are 2 for 5. Travis is in the lead with 4 for 5, although he's had 2 attempts. And John Smith sitting there with 3 for 5. So let's see if you can take the lead. Okay. Alexa Bliss defended the Raw Championship in an Elimination Chamber match to open the show. She defeated Mickie James, Sonya Deville, Sasha Banks, and this woman. Was it A, Bayley, B, Becky Lynch, C, Carmella, or D, Charlotte Flair?
Run down those options again. I'm sorry.
Yep, it is Bayley, Becky Lynch, Carmella, or Charlotte.
Bayley.
It is Bayley. I can remember Sasha and Bayley turning on each other here. That was the big thing. I think they were climbing, like Alexa was on top of one of the pods, and then the other one went up there to get them, and then I think Sasha kicked Bayley off, that kind of thing. So Asuka defeated Nia Jax in the semi-main event. What would Jax have received if she won? A WrestleMania title match, B, the Raw Championship, C, a women's tag team title match, or D, nothing?
She would have been added to the WrestleMania match, right? She would have gotten a shot at Asuka's title. Or shot at the title.
Shot at the title, yes. So a couple of different. She actually would have also ended Asuka's undefeated streak. But yes, the actual stipulation was that she would have been added to the championship match. Asuka had won the Rumble, so she got to go face Charlotte Flair.
Right.
Yeah. Cesaro and Sheamus successfully defended the Raw Tag Team Championships. Who did they defeat? Was it A, Matt and Jeff Hardy, B, Titus Worldwide, the Bushwhackers, Demolition, the Usos, the New Day, or the B Team? I'll give you those again. Hardy Boys, Titus Worldwide, Bushwhackers, Demolition, Usos, New Day, or the B Team?
I'm going to say Titus Worldwide.
You are correct. It was Titus Worldwide. Very good. And then Matt Hardy, who was not in that match, he fought Bray Wyatt on this pay-per-view. And a very simple question. Who won?
If he fought Bray Wyatt,
yes.
Then I will say Matt won.
Matt won. Yeah, Woken Matt Hardy got the W there. 4-4. The pressure is on. No multiple choice in the final question. The main event of Elimination Chamber 2018 was an Elimination Chamber match to determine who would challenge for the Universal Championship at WrestleMania. Roman Reigns won the match. It was the first ever 7-man Elimination Chamber. Roman beat out Elias, Braun Strowman, John Cena, Seth Rollins, The Miz, and Finn Balor. The question is, how many eliminations did Braun Strowman have?
Uh, eliminate everyone.
I can give you a multiple choice. 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5.
Yeah, I had. I'm gonna say 5.
It was 5. It was 5. Yes. He eliminated everybody except himself.
There you go. Okay.
So with that,
Perfect.
knocked it out of the park.
Woo!
And as discussed before we did trivia, you have now assumed the lead. You'll be 7 for 10. Travis is actually 4 for 10. That's my mistake. So he got one on me there, I guess. All right, a couple of things to tell everybody about. Let's start with the chair shot. Let me move a couple things here. Boom. Okay. So check out the new Chair Shot t-shirt. The Chair Shot is our featured shirt this week. At $20, the shirt not only features a steel chair, but it is also a steal of a deal. It comes in the super soft style with no upcharge. All sizes are the same price, so no upcharge for sizes above 2X. And you can get in a bunch of different colors. I actually wrote the bare bones of a story with these characters in it. This story is not great, but it's for free at minutestobelltime.com. The shirts are 3 levels of awesome above that, though, so definitely get one of those. And then wear that shirt when you sit down to watch the Primetime Rundown this Friday night with Joey Jarzanka, Ian Schreier, and Rob DeLuca. February 12th will be episode 54. They take you through the world of sports. Show kicks off at 6 p.m. on the Eastern Observer. And then we're looking at episode number 41 of the Essential Wrestling Podcast next week on Tuesday. Al Carl will be in the hosting seat. He'll take John Smith, myself, John DeConnie, and Gary Mahaffey through the week of updates and highlights in the world of wrestling. Coverage begins at 6 p.m. Of course, at that point, we'll be talking about No Surrender and TakeOver and all the stuff that comes out of that. Probably also previewing Elimination Chamber by that point. So definitely check that out. And then our show returns tomorrow with John Smith. We'll be talking about the Wednesday night Wrestling Wars and everything that comes out of tonight. We'll be talking about the Forbidden Portal having opened, and we had our first match. So definitely check that out. Daily Wrestling News Show, Monday through Thursday, wherever you're watching this one right now. And I've got a bunch of stuff coming up that I just need to make sure we talk about before we get out of here, John. Gary Mahaffey, I want to know if you agree. Pete Dunne and Finn Balor steal the show this weekend.
I would be surprised if they didn't, but with that card, it's possible he could be wrong, but I would be with Gary on that one.
Okay. Now, Al Carl said way too much information about the Nia Jax bidet system. But then he also said, wow. So I think, he kind of got won over by all the promotional stuff in there. They might also be mistimed a little bit, those comments, but in any case, I think we'll put them together. And then Gary Mahaffey came back in to just say, if it works for Nia, he likes Twix. Whatever that means.
He's hoping to get some free swag, just like her.
There you go. That's what it was. So, John, anything else before we get out of here today? Fun show today.
Yes, a lot of fun, as always. And I will be getting my Chair Shot t-shirt probably later this week.
Woo! And then wear it.
That was the one when you leaked a couple of the upcoming shirts. That was the one that I had in the back of my mind. I couldn't wait to see that one.
There's more. So it's like this is going to be. I'll feature a new one each week, and then as time goes on, this whole clothing line is going to get into a big, huge thing. So. Stay tuned, everybody. More announcements in that regarding coming up soon. So with that, for John, I'm Ryan. Take care. We'll see you tomorrow.